crazy, wonderful people, and welcome to another installment of Metalhead Central, the show where I take an honest look at the heavier side of music and give it an honest rating. It's episode lucky number 13, so it's quite apropos that we're taking a look at a doom-laden album full of thickened riffs. No, it's not another Sleep album. Sorry to disappoint. It's Candlemass's new one, The Door to Doom. It was released February 22nd on Napalm Records. Now, I've talked extensively about Napalm before, so all you return viewers know that I dig this label, and a lot of things on it. Did they deliver with this one? Well, I'm going to say yes and no. Candlemass is one of those bands that kind of begs to be listened to at least once. They're like the Dark Throne or Cannibal Corpse of doom metal. With their rich history and their pioneering work in the subgenre of epic doom metal, they are a band that just can't be ignored. They've released 12 albums, including this one, and have an entire list of EPs and singles that people can check out. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen a band release more EPs than this one has. Nope, can't think of one. Matter of fact, I'm shocked that they didn't just release an EP and a bunch of singles and call that the album. But I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because it really speaks to the creativity of a band that they are still able to come up with original songs, 12 albums in over 30 years in their career, and still have them sound this solid. With that being said, the album does sort of get repetitive in the second half. But first, let's talk about the upside of the album. The riffs, and there are a ton of them. True to any doom-laden release, this album is riffage central. From album opener Splendor Demon Majesty to Crusher Astoralus the Great Octopus to the masterpiece single House of Doom, there are riffs here that are sure to leave any Doom fan satisfied, along with melodic and catchy choruses that are sure to leave those of us who may not be quite as obsessed with the genre satisfied. A big issue I have with a lot of doom metal is that it's so slow and it's so kind of dull that though the riff might be nice, it's difficult to pay attention because it is so slow. I get it's doom metal, and that's the way it's supposed to be, but I feel like there's just a lack of thought behind it that hurts the subgenre in the long run. I feel like the guys in the band are just sitting there, and one of them just plays this crushingly heavy chord, and then they take a few minutes, and they huddle up like a football team, and then they come to a consensus, and then 12 minutes later, they finally play the next crushingly heavy chord. Candlemass avoids that by keeping the tempo up enough and keeping the song lengths short enough to where it's an enjoyable listen. I was impressed with how the song lengths on the album didn't really jump around a lot, but stayed within the 5 to 7 minute range. However, my favorite song on the album, next to House of Doom, was probably the beautiful acoustic, yes, I said acoustic, track Bridge of the Blind. It's the shortest track on the album, but it's very well written and very well done. I've also got to give props to a very, very special guest on the album. Tony freaking Iommi, the godfather of metal guitar. He drops a very unique and awesome solo on that Astoralus song, which is another one of my favorites on the album. Now let's get to the downside here. It's a very repetitive and a very heavy listen. They don't do a lot of stuff different, and in a lot of ways that does work to the album's advantage, but in a lot of ways it also works to its disadvantage. The second track on the album, Under the Ocean, is definitely the weakest track. It's kind of a yawn fest, filled with what feels like the same riffs recycled from the first track. They would have been better off just taking those two tracks and making them one song length to be forgotten. All in all, Candlemass, they put out a very solid album with this one. I don't think it's going to be an album of the year contender for me, just due to the fact that it is such a repetitive listen, where it really doesn't need to be, but it was still enjoyable. And it's one that there's a few songs that I may be returning to. Like Legion of the Damned's album from earlier this year, this was a neat album that will be sure to please all you epic doom metal fans out there. Candlemass fans will rejoice. Me, not so much. I'm giving The Door to Doom an 86 out of 100 on the YPS scale. Thank you so much for watching. Click like and subscribe for more Metalhead Central content. Next week, I'm going to do my best to get the video out on time, but I don't know if I will because we're having a mega review next week. 3 albums, 2 by the same band, and I'm pumped for all 3 of them. I'm going to be checking out Demon Hunter's 2 new albums titled War and Peace, and In Flames' brand new album, Eye of the Mask. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.